All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Okay, so this morning we're going to talk about a very, very important topic. This is probably going to be something that's perhaps more important than the other stuff you're learning in school, and I'll tell you why. What we're going to talk about sometimes, if you are experiencing this, you might not want to go to school, you might not want to pay attention, or sometimes you can't pay attention because you're so affected by it. Sometimes it leads to suicide. Yeah, so it's very important, so we need you guys to pay attention, okay? We need your undivided attention. So, this is Ornella, I'm Emerly, and this is Detective Chavez. All of us work at the Hialeah Police Department. Who knows about the Hialeah Police Department? It's one of the best police departments in South Florida, okay? So, do you guys know what detectives do? Yeah, what do they do? Yeah, well, they do work homicide, they investigate homicides. Okay. So you guys know how you have rules in school that you have to follow? There's rules in school you have to follow, like no running, being on time. So in the community, there's also rules, they're called laws. So when a citizen doesn't obey the law, that's when police come in, they investigate, they arrest people, they keep the community safe, okay? The police officers, they have a very, very important job here in our community. They keep you safe, they keep your family safe, all those things. So what Ornella and I do, that's what Detective Chavez does. She works in the Special Victims Unit, and she investigates crimes against children, domestic violence, dating violence. What else? Elderly abuse. And yes, okay? She's one of the most important people here. And thank you for what you do. Now, what Ornella and I do, we're victim advocates. So those who are affected by the crimes, we help them with different services. So we help them if they have to go to court. We help them learn about the criminal justice process and provide support throughout, the whole spiel. We help them with mental health counseling because sometimes when you're a victim of a crime, it's very traumatic. It can affect you emotionally, mentally, so we help them with all those services. So just to give you guys a glimpse of what we do, okay? So we're going to talk today about bullying. Remember, very important. We want you guys to pay attention, digest this information, because if you learn from here and maybe you can look back at your life or what you're doing and think, maybe I need to change, or maybe this will help you help somebody else who's going through this, or if you are the person who's experiencing this, maybe you'll know what to do after watching this presentation. Okay, so next slide, please.
All right. Who can tell me what they see in this photo right here? Okay, so this photo right here depicts what bullying usually looks like, right? We always think that it's a group of kids picking on just one individual, but there's so much more to bullying. It's not just this, and that we're gonna go over all of those things right now.
So bullying is different than the common disagreements you have with friends or acquaintances. It's sometimes something that happens repeatedly. So it's bullying. We try to stay away from the term bully and victim because sometimes it has like a negative meaning, and sometimes it could seem like that person can't change, but people can change, okay? So if the kid who is hurting, the kid could be humiliating somebody, harming another person with words or something physical that they're doing, some behavior. Usually the kid who is doing the bullying has more power. So who could tell me, like, what could be the differences in power? Size, very good. So maybe the kid is a little bigger. Yeah. Or maybe they have more authority because of their position. And what else? Popularity, very good. They have more influences. Yeah, power. Or they could be somebody who's older, maybe a 8th grader against a 6th grader. Yeah, so money is, yeah, money too, but since we're talking about kids, that's different because you guys don't really work, so, but that could be something later on when you're older that could affect it. So this is the kid who is doing the bullying. Now, the person who's being bullied, that person's being hurt. That person feels embarrassed. They're being affected by this, okay? We're going to try to stay away from the word victim, right? Because sometimes victim, you think somebody who's weak, but maybe this, maybe they're not very weak. And they have a hard time defending themselves from the other person. And like I said, it's something usually that is repeated. It happens more than once, okay? It could be a one-time incident, but usually we think about the same person doing it against, or the same group of people doing it against one target.
Okay, so like I was saying before, in that photo you see 3 kids, they're pointing at one kid, they're bullying that one individual, but there's different types of bullying that can be done. One of the most obvious ones to recognize is when it's physical bullying, when kids are getting hit, when kids are being pushed, when they're, breaking things. Another one is verbal. That's another one that's easy to see if you're nearby, right? You hear a kid saying something mean to another kid, calling them names, being offensive, threatening them or trying to scare them into doing things, right? Like we all know that typical interaction where it's like the big kid asking the little kid for money, or else they're gonna beat them up. That's verbal. Then you have the emotional one, which is a little bit more planned. It's very calculated, and it's made to make the individual that's being bullied feel very bad. So this is done by leaving them out of different events, not in, if you're playing a sport and the kid wants to play and they don't want to let them play, that's not nice, right? It makes the person feel very bad about themselves. It makes them feel not included, like they're different, like they should be pushed away, and that's not a nice feeling to have.
Now this one, cyberbullying. This is a big one because when I was growing up, we had the little flip phones. When I was your age, we didn't even have cell phones, I believe. No, we didn't have, but now you guys are constantly on social media. You constantly have like video games that you're playing. There's so many different apps. So we're seeing a lot of cases that are being reported to the police department about cyberbullying. So one example, somebody maybe creates an account in your name and puts up embarrassing photos of you, or someone's harassing you through social media. Or maybe, and this is what I'm going to say, you guys are 6th, 8th graders. Sometimes you're seeing stuff online, or maybe you see like an older sibling doing this, but you have to be I do not recommend that you do it. Sometimes you take a photo and you send it to somebody. You think that's going to be between you and that person, but then that person shares the photo with one more person. That other person who received the photo shares it to another person. So now the whole school has an intimate photo of you. Do not send any photos. Anything that has to do with your bathing suit areas, do not share that photo with don't take it, don't do it. Because we have cases and it happens, okay? It happens and that's the truth, okay? So cyberbullying is a big one. Is there any other examples of cyberbullying that you guys could think of? Yes? The red shirt over there? What do you say? Never mind. Okay. We're going to try to make this interactive, okay? So raise your hand. Okay, you with the glasses. Talk, okay, yeah, people could spread rumors on different social media apps. That's true. With the black face mask. Yes. Okay, yeah, and so very good. That's a very good example. And some people even send threats through social media. So be very careful what you do on the social media apps. Pay attention, everybody. Be very careful. Other forms of bullying. Sometimes, like I said about the parts that cover your bathing suit area, there's people to bully you that they touch you in those areas. Nobody should be touching you in those areas. That's the truth. That's your Private parts, nobody should be touching you in school in those areas. We have a lot of cases of things that people touch you inappropriately, okay? So sometimes that could be one form of bullying. Did I miss anything? No. Okay.
All right, so this one kind of pertains a little bit to the cyberbullying, right? So how can you protect yourself from that? Be very mindful of the things that you post online, whether it's on Twitter, on Instagram, even the things that you send in a text message, right? Screenshots and sending things to everybody, that happens. It doesn't matter how old you are, right? Adults do it too. So you want to make sure that whatever you're sending people, whatever you're posting online is something that if somebody else were to get their hands on it, it would not put you at risk. It would not embarrass you. It's not something mean about anybody else, because that's how rumors start. People's feelings get hurt. Fights can happen. Protect your passwords. Sometimes we share our passwords with our friends. We think that our best friend is the most trustworthy person in the whole wide world, right? But then what happens? Our best friend shares that password with somebody else. Now your accounts are being hacked. People are pretending to be you on your social media, on your phone, and bad things can happen from that too, right? You should never be impersonating anybody. Think about about who sees what you post online, right? So I'm a firm believer in keeping your social media accounts private. You shouldn't have it public, because random people that you don't even know, right, stranger danger, can sit there. They can look at all of your photos. They can see where you are, what you're doing, who you hang out with, and you can be putting yourself at risk by doing that. Talk to your parents. I know that it's not cool when you're like a teenager to talk to your parents and let them in about what it is that's going on in your life, but your parents should know, because your parents knowing what's going on in your life can protect you and save your life if something really bad were to ever happen. I grew up, my mom was my best friend. I told her everything. All of my friends' secrets, my mom knew them too. And my mom would help my friends, right? Because sometimes there are some kids that they feel that they don't have an adult that they can trust in their life. So my mom would be that person that my friends could trust with whatever issue they were going on, and she would help them. So whether it's a parent, a teacher, a counselor, an older sibling, have an adult in your life that you can share things with. If somebody's bullying you, if somebody's mistreating you, if somebody's making you feel bad, share that with an adult, because they can help you, okay? You don't need to tolerate that from anybody. What else? That's it for that one.
This is going to be very short. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk a lot about the effects of bullying. So how do you think the girl holding the book feels in this picture? What are some effects of bullying? White shirt. You gotta speak a little louder. Harassed? Yes, harassed. She feels like she's being harassed. Embarrassed? Uh-huh. Intimidated? Yeah, that's a very good one. Good, yes, very good one. You know why? Because it's three girls ganging up on one girl, so she could feel intimidated, like she can't defend herself. Very, very good. Anything else? What else do you think? Insecure? Yeah, she's looking a little insecure. Maybe, those are the girls who are a little more popular or whatever. Yeah, that's a good one too. So we're going to talk a lot about the effects. Who else?
She had her hand up. Yeah.
Angry? Anxious. Yes, anxious. That's a very good one. Very anxious. So we're going to talk a lot about that, okay?
What was it? Suicidal? Ooh. That's
Yeah.
a tough one. I mean, if it's happening a lot and she feels really bad about herself, you never know, right? Sometimes people don't say it.
Yeah. So.
All right. So with that, what are signs that someone's being bullied? Does anybody here know anybody? You don't have to say names or anything. Does anybody know anybody that's ever been bullied? What did you notice about that person? Yeah. They were sad? Yeah. Anybody else? Trying to go undetected? Yeah. Anybody? Yeah. Left out is a big one. Annoyed? Yeah. It happens. Angry? Emo? No, emo. Emo. Yeah. What else? Guys, listen. Mood swings? Yeah. Yeah? Mm-hmm. What is it? Broken? Yeah. Anxious? Yeah. What happened? Their head hurts? Yeah. So there's so many different feelings, emotions, behaviors that can come about from just being bullied, right? If you see somebody that they have random bruises on their body and, they don't know, maybe they're being physically abused by somebody, right? The bully gets them when nobody's looking, pushes them. You never know. Maybe their clothes is, pulled on, their shirt is stretched out, their books are broken, a lot of headaches and stomach aches, so that's sometimes related to anxiety. They may, they know that every time that they come to school, there's gonna be that one bully that makes them feel very unwanted, very insecure. So they constantly tell mom and dad, I don't wanna go to school, my stomach really hurts, oh, I have a really big headache. They're trying to avoid coming to school because they don't wanna interact with that person. Changes in eating habits. Sometimes when you're anxious or when you're sad or when you're going through something, what ends up being impacted is your eating. Some people, they eat their feelings, they eat a lot, or they just stop eating altogether, right? I knew somebody that was getting bullied, and you could just see them, like they used to, they looked very healthy, and then little by little, they just started getting very, very skinny because they weren't eating. They were always sad. They started wearing sweaters, trying to go undetected. They would try to cover their face a lot. They didn't want anybody to know that they were there. And that's a really sad feeling. Maybe they don't, difficulty sleeping. You start having nightmares about the incidents that are happening, or maybe you can't go to sleep at night. Grades start going down. You go from being a straight A student to all of a sudden you're getting D's and F's. Your teachers notice that, and that's a big red flag, especially in school. Sudden loss of friends. All of a sudden, the kids, they kind of like bring their friends in and you're isolated. Or maybe you yourself, you don't want to hang out with anybody. You feel that you're helpless or that the situation's never going to stop or go away. And then also there's self-destructive behaviors. Some kids, they run away from home. They feel misunderstood. They try to harm themselves. They talk about suicide. That's why it's so important for you guys to talk to adults about this, because there is a lot of help out there. If any of you are in a situation where you're being bullied, just know that you do not have to deal with that alone, okay? If it ever gets to that last point where there's self-harm or there's ideas of suicide, please reach out to somebody.
We had the slides set up a different way where you will see the heading and then we'll ask you questions to make it interactive, but now it's not coming up this way. So we're now next going to talk about the target, the person who's being bullied. What do you think are some things that they can do? Call a hotline? Yes, there is a bullying hotline. I think it's called stopbullying.org or .gov. It's .org, stopbullying.org. They have a telephone number you could call, and they could give you advice as to what you could do. What else? This group over here with the glasses. Tell a responsible adult. Very good. Tell somebody you trust. And somebody you trust could be a teacher, could be a parent. It could be another relative, maybe an older sibling. You have your hand up? Huh? Stand up. Speak out. If you feel it's safe enough, speak out against the bully. Tell them that what you think that they're doing is not right. Yes, if you feel it's safe enough. If you don't think, and you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation, but that's another thing you could do. What else? What else could the person who's being bullied, what else can they do to avoid it or to maybe stop the bullying? What else do you guys think? Fight back? And I don't, when you say fight back, what do you mean? Okay, so we don't condone any violence, okay? When you say fight back, obviously, hey, listen, if there's situations where you have to defend yourself, okay? And if you have to defend yourself, you got to do what you got to do. But no, you could fight back with words, and if you have to defend yourself, you know, that happens. But try to stay away from being violent against a person, because the last thing you want to do is get suspended. And if you feel, sometimes if you're bullied and it's repeated, sometimes you get really angry. It could cause you to do something, but you got to think before you act, because you don't want to get suspended. That could, you know, really affect you in the long run. In what situation would you what? Defend yourself? Well, if the person is punching you, you know, if they're being physical with you, to avoid you getting really injured, you might have to. But we're talking about, so we don't want it to get to that point. We don't want it to get to that point. Usually bullying, it starts with words. You know, you're trying to avoid it getting to that point, okay? Another thing you could do, if you know there's certain areas where the bullying happens, you try to avoid those areas, okay? Usually there's certain areas that maybe a teacher is not going to be present, or maybe there's not a lot of kids in that area. You want to try to avoid those areas. You want to try to go to areas where there's a lot of kids and a lot of teachers, a lot of adults, because the bully's not going to feel so prone to hurting you in those situations, because they know that they could get in trouble for that. What else? And if it's happening in a classroom, you could ask to be moved to another class, and so they could accommodate you.
Okay. So the next slide, I'm not going to put it up yet, but for the students who do bully, right? So this is for the bullies. What do you guys think that they can do? Huh? So this question was the targets of bullying, right? What can they do in a situation where they're getting bullied? But now let's put ourselves in the shoes of the bully. What do you think the bully can do to become better? Yes. Therapy? Stop doing it? Yeah.
That might be harder for a person to do.
The what? Have a better home life? Sometimes there's a lot of other factors that come into play with the home life, unfortunately. Think about how the other person feels. That's so important. Empathy. Yeah, talk to a parent or to an adult. Let them know that they have a problem. Watch what?
I don't know what that is. Afterwards, let me know what that is, okay? After we talk. All right, everybody pay attention. Pay attention.
So you guys had very good points. So one of the main things that a bully should do is self-reflect. You know, understand that those behaviors are causing pain and suffering to another person. Self-reflection is something that you guys are going to need for the rest of your lives. Self-awareness, it's so important. And just understand, it's never okay to hurt another person. Accountability, if you've come to the realization, oh wow, those behaviors, those seem like bully behaviors. I think I'm causing this person suffering. You know what? I need to hold myself accountable. I'm going to apologize and I'm going to stop. Or I'm going to get help if I just can't stop, right? Understand that a lot of the times, and we're going to touch base on that a little bit later, bullies don't just become bullies, okay? They've probably gone through something where they've learned to just express themselves in an aggressive manner towards others. It's a learned behavior oftentimes. So a lot of self-reflection is needed. So think about being a good friend, right? Do friends hurt one another? We're going to have to redefine friendship for the group that said yes. All right, listen up. So no, actually, friends don't hurt friends. Friends are there for one another. They support one another. They care, they love, they hug, they support one another. Friends should not be causing another one suffering. They should not be saying mean things to one another. They should not be physically hurting them. They should not be putting them in harm's way, right? Because when we go to a friend, we go to them to find support. We go because we trust them and we need somebody that's gonna give us trust, support, and love unconditional, right? We don't hurt our friends. Realize that everybody deserves this respect. Everybody's different in many different ways. There's not one person. You may think that you are very similar to another person because you like certain things, but everybody is different. Everybody is raised different, grew up different, experienced different things. We're all different, so we have to respect one another. Bullying somebody because they look different or they act different, that's not okay. So sometimes kids bully because they are stressed about something else going on in their life. So like I said, might be a learned behavior. Maybe there's something going on at home and they're very stressed out, and school is the place where they feel that they need to let out that frustration. It happens, but that's why it's important that if there's something going on, to talk to an adult, right? Like, let's prevent these situations from happening.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about bystanders. Who are the bystanders? Raise your hand. Who is a bystander? People who are watching it. So it's not the person who's bullying or the person who's being bullied. It's the person who's on the outside of the situation who intervenes to help. Okay, what do you guys think? Raise your hand. Okay, I see some people who are talking or not involved. Pay attention, okay? This is very important. So what do you guys think a bystander can do to help? You, is that a gray shirt? Yes, gray shirt. What do you think? Help out? How would they help out? Like what? I'm sorry? By getting a teacher to intervene. What else? By telling the bully to stop, like intervening on behalf of the... Oh, yes. Very good. That's a very, very good point. Helping the victim, telling the person who's being bullied that they have support, that you are there for them. That's sometimes the best thing you can do. A bystander intervening, sometimes it says here, there's a statistics here that says more than half of the bullying situations, 57%, stop when peers intervene. So bystanders, you can really help out the situation. Gray shirt over there. Yes, you. Yes, 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 yes. So bystanders, you guys have an important role here. Have you guys ever heard of see something, say something? And that goes for different situations. And I'll tell you something, pay attention to this. We have a lot of cases that are reported to the police department, bullying situations and other cases of domestic violence when people see people in the streets who are fighting and maybe someone's beating up on another person who a bystander intervened. You are helping keeping that person safe, okay? Your intervention is helping that person who's being victimized. So see something, say something. Take that with you for the rest of your life. If you see something you suspect, don't think, oh, it's a private situation. I don't want to, that has nothing to do with me. No, like your help, you could save a life. You could save a life, okay? Yeah. No, this is mine. Oh, so it's the same one. Oh, for all students.
All right, so all students, what can you do? Maybe you haven't seen a situation. Maybe you're not a bully. Maybe you've never experienced bullying, but it happens, right? So preventative measures. nobody should be mean to one another. We should be treating everybody with respect, right? If everybody treated everybody with respect, do you guys think that we would even be having a situation with bullying? No, right? Stop and think before you say or do something to hurt somebody. Sometimes it just takes 5 seconds to just stop and think, is what I'm about to say or do going to help this person? If the answer is no, maybe you shouldn't do it or say it. If you think that it's gonna cause them harm, don't do it, don't say it. If you feel like being mean to somebody, find something else to do. Play a game, take a walk, do some breathing exercises, talk to an adult that you trust. Keep in mind that everybody's different. Like I said before, we have to love and treat everybody with respect. And even if we don't have to love everybody, we could just keep it moving without being disrespectful, offensive, or any of the above. If you think you have bullied somebody in the past, apologize. Sometimes with that self-reflection, we realize, man, that time that I was doing that like 3 years ago, that wasn't very nice. Let me reach out to the person, because even if you don't think that was like a serious moment, maybe that person is very affected by it. And 3 years later, they're still thinking about it, and they look at you as that mean person. And we all change, right? We grow, we go to different grade levels, we mature, right? So to us, we're different people now, we're better people now. But that person that you made feel really bad, maybe they're not over it, and they're always gonna look at you as that bad person. So it's important to apologize and let them know, hey, I was wrong, I made a mistake, let's move on from it. That can give them peace of mind. It'll give you peace of mind later on in the future.
The kids who bully others, what type of future? And I'm not going to say it's a direct thing, because sometimes it could be the bullying situation, sometimes it could be stuff that happens at home, it could be a mix of things. The kids who bully others, what type of future do you think that they're going to have if they continue bullying? What do you guys think? Raise your hand. Yes. Yes, they could commit crimes in the community, just how we talked. There's rules in school you have to follow. There's laws in the community that you have to follow. So if they're used to violating rules here, later on in the future, they'll be the people who won't be obeying the laws, and they'll go to jail, and they could be criminals. What else? They could be abusive towards their family members, abusive toward their partners, their wife or their boyfriend, their pets. Yes. So I'm going to live my life hurting others. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be violating the law. I'm going to be doing this. What type? I'm going to be a lonely person because nobody's going to want to be my friend. Very, very good. Also, they could grow up to be people who abuse drugs and alcohol. They could get into a lot of fights. Like you guys here in middle school, maybe in high school, if they continue, they'll be getting into a lot of fights and be suspended. They won't have a high school diploma. You don't have a high school diploma. How are you going to get a job? It's going to be very difficult for that person to move on in life and have a healthy life, be successful, have a career, all those things. Let's go. You first? Huh? Yes, exactly. That's a very good point. So since maybe the bullying was overlooked because the bystander didn't do anything, or maybe the person who's bullied didn't stand up, so maybe they'll have more issues at work because they won't be used to being reprimanded or being called out on their behavior, so they'll get fired a lot. Last question. That's one. Yeah, maybe they'll have a job that they're not going to like. But listen, if you guys, when you graduate, you're going to have careers. When you graduate, you might have to be at McDonald's because you don't have a lot of experience. But that's something that you want to do for some time until you're able to go out and make more money. So it's not bad to work at McDonald's. Some people, they don't, that's all they could
That was
do
my
at the
first
moment.
job.
Yeah.
And look where I'm at now.
But I see what you mean. Maybe they won't be able to have a successful career and maybe be a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher. They won't be able to move out of that job. Very good points.
All right, so let's talk about the emotional impact of bullying on the kids that are being bullied, right? So earlier on, you guys mentioned anxiety, sadness, feeling left out. Yeah, What else do you think are some emotional effects for the kids that are being bullied? They're insecure
About what they look like.
about what they look like? Yeah, definitely, right? Because one of the most common things is to make fun of the way that somebody looks, right? And then that creates these negative thoughts about oneself, right? It lowers our self-esteem. We start thinking that we start connecting the way that we look with our worth in life, right? And that's not okay. Looks always change. Depression, yes. Yes, changing for others, which means that you don't really know who you are, right? If you're constantly trying to make yourself somebody that you're not to fit in. Yeah, and that happens a lot. All the way in the back. Social anxiety, yeah, it's more common than a lot of people can think. Insecure about their height, yeah, which falls under the way that they look, right? If you're too tall, if you're too short. So, wait, was it this one? Like you guys said, depression, anxiety, sadness, loneliness. Like I said before, changes in sleep patterns, and we need a good night's sleep in order to perform well in school. If we're in sports, you gotta eat right, you gotta sleep right, right? That's part of taking care of yourself. And when you're not well here, it's very hard to take care of everything else. Health complaints, right? The stomach ache, oh, mom, I don't wanna go to school, I don't feel good. But in reality, you don't have a stomach ache, you're just very nervous. And then the decreased academic achievements, right? You go from being honor roll to all of a sudden you're not passing your classes. That's a problem, right? Because you have to make sure that your grades are good. Because in the future you want to go to college, you want to have a good career, right? You want to make a difference. You want to feel good about your life. Okay. Oh, the impact of the bystanders. So the bystanders also face a lot of emotional effects, right? Sometimes people, they see something, they don't say something because they're minding their business, and then they feel bad. Something happens to that kid. They're gonna have a lot of guilt in their mind, right? I could have done something. I could have stepped up. I could have helped that kid, right? Sometimes they're more likely to abuse alcohol and drugs, right? They feel so bad about themselves that they feel that that's the only thing that can help them, and that's never the case. That doesn't help you. It ruins your life. They may have increased mental health problems, right? Depression, anxiety. They might not even know where it stems from. Sometimes our unconscious controls us, right? So sometimes we're like, I don't even know why I feel this way, but you know why you felt that way. You might miss or skip school, right? They don't want to be around that environment, so they might skip school because they just don't want to see it anymore. They don't feel that they can step up and do something, so then they just avoid school altogether. So there's repercussions for everybody.
So, in the beginning, I said why we're talking about this. School, your education is one of the most important things. Some people live in some people are so poor they don't have the opportunity to learn. Like this right here, you guys, and you're in a private school, that's amazing. School should be somewhere that everybody feels safe and someone's able to learn. If this is going on, like I said, the person who's being bullied is not going to want to go to school. Their grades are going to drop low. They're not going to be able to get scholarships. The person who's bullying, everybody's affected by it. Everybody. We talked about it over and over again. So we want you guys to take this information and move forward with your life. And if you notice something, make a change. Make a change. If it's you, the person who's bullying others, hurting others, reflect on yourselves. Think about how you're making that other person feel. If you're seeing it, you're the bystander, talk to somebody about it. School is somewhere that everybody should feel safe. When I was growing up, we didn't talk about bullying. Unfortunately, a lot of kids were affected by it. But now there's more research, there's more awareness, there's technology that information just gets sent so rapidly that you guys are growing up in an environment that is so much better than how it was in the past, okay? So school, like I said, it should be that somewhere where everybody should feel safe, there should be respect, and that's why we're talking about it. Let's try to prevent these situations, okay?
All right, so this last thing that we're gonna do, it's a little quick activity. So, it's called, Is This Bullying, right? So I'm gonna read the questions, and if you guys think that that's bullying, just give me a thumbs up, right? So we don't have everybody screaming at the same time. A thumbs up. If you don't think that it's bullying, thumbs down. Got it? It's gonna make a lot of noise. Just thumbs, yeah. So, all right. Every day, Jimmy threatens to beat up Keisha after school. Is that bullying? Yeah, for those of you that have your thumbs up, that's correct, right? Because it's happening every day. Remember, bullying is repetitive, it's ongoing. Number 2, Kimberly says, "You're so funny," to Maria after she told a joke. Is she bullying? Nope.
No, I think you be truthful. Stop trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Is that bullying? What I said.
Raul posts an embarrassing picture of Jose on the internet. Is that bullying? What kind of bullying is that? Jenny tells the other kids on the bus not to let Ellie sit next to them. Is that bullying? Yeah, we're making somebody feel left out. Hannah sneaks up behind Jessica and yells, "Surprise!" and they both laugh. Madison throws food at Carlos every time he walks by the cafeteria. Yep. Johnny makes fun of Carla in front of his friends and makes her cry. That's bullying, yep. George told Freddie he couldn't use his pencil because it was the only one he had to do his work. Is that bullying? No, it's not bullying, right? If you only have one pencil, how can you share? Alrighty.
So that wraps up our presentation. I hope that you guys take this information and use it. Remember, see something? Say something. Yes. Do you guys, it was, Detective Chavez is here. It's an honor to have her here. She's very busy. You know, we have, how many SVU detectives do we have? 6. We have 6 special victim unit detectives doing all investigations in the whole city of Hialeah. She took time off her busy schedule to come here and see you guys. Do you guys have any questions or anything, any information?